I've got the spores, the sickness. There's the twins in my brain.
Pogačar, Nice and Primož Adriatico. Slovenian cycling once again ruled the sport the past week. Time to look back on the 1 week stage races and have a little preview on La Primavera. I've got once again 3 superb domestiques joining me. Welcome Yves, Bram and Josh.
Good evening, how are you?
Hello.
Yves, you moved last weekend. Is everything settled and ready for the Flemish Classics?
Yeah, I think so. I think the internet connection isn't too bad here. So let's hope everything keeps on working and the Classics will be crazy.
You're ready to shine?
Yeah, certainly.
Perfect. Bram, we both had our first outside ride of 2023 this weekend. I hope yours felt better than mine.
Oh, it definitely didn't. I can still feel my legs today, and it was horrible. But we made it. We made it to the finish. So,
what was the plan?
It was a group ride with my team. So it was just like, easy ride, 56 kilometers. But it was way too much. I hadn't ridden outside since like August of last year, so I was suffering.
Domestique number 3 is Josh. Josh, you're by far the biggest Gaudu lover I've ever met. Can you describe how you've experienced the past cycling week in one word?
Ecstasy.
That's the way to start. Alright, let's get this episode started with the race to the sun. Paris-Nice. Pogačar Gaudu Vingegaard is what the final GC looks like. That's quite surprising.
Pogačar isn't surprising. Gaudu is a big surprise. Yeah, Pogačar was simply too strong again in Paris-Nice. He's just unbeatable at the start of the season. I think he has 13 race days and he won 7 of them. So
9.
Nine.
Yeah.
Oh, I think if you can start the season like that, it's exceptional. And I think at what condition level is he actually? Is he preparing for the Ronde van Vlaanderen or is he peaking already, which I doubt. But if he still needs to grow his fitness, then I'm getting very scared for the other riders in the peloton.
He might need to grow his fitness level, but yeah, let's say he's already in good shape, I think. And the way I see it is that he has 2 very important parts this season. That's now the Classics part. Then going out, taking a bit of rest and building up towards Tour de France, I think. But you're right, if we still need to see the best Pogačar, then there will be nothing left at all, I think.
It's very scary to know he started in Spain in the gravel race at a very high level, and I was thinking, how the hell will he remain that good till the Ronde van Vlaanderen? But he proves me wrong.
Exactly. Josh, we all know why you're here.
It's the only reason.
Yves says that Gaudu, it was quite surprising for him, but of course for you it wasn't.
Well, so I did think that he might struggle to beat Vingegaard, but actually he's clearly on the up. As I believe I said in the prediction podcast, he's a rider whose career is not quite as peaking as quickly as Pogačar, but he's a solid rider, and I think he showed that on the various stages he dropped Vingegaard comprehensively. I think you can see him just there being dropped. So I'm actually, unironically, I'm thrilled. I think he took a real step up in Paris-Nice, and hopefully that gives him a lot of confidence.
You
going into
practiced
the
this
rest
one,
of the season.
didn't you?
I did before we were on air.
You say Gaudu is a solid rider, but so is his team and even his best friend, Arnaud Demar.
Sorry.
Even that guy was working for him?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's all fine and rosy over at FDJ, because Arnaud Demar did a lot of work for Gaudu, didn't he? And some of it was relatively violent, with boxing in Pogačar on that sprint. But even like in the mountains and stuff, he was going all out to pulling brakes and stuff. So I think that's the rift over.
I think Gaudu is doing a 10 balance today. Early fitness peak and then not winning anymore the rest of the season.
But it's
he
March.
hasn't won yet.
It's March already.
Yeah, but he tried to be balanced and his peak is a little bit later.
It's a bit late. Guys, let's go back to that team time trial. In the previous episode, you talked about the new rules, and looking back at it now, was it good?
I quite liked it. To be fair, like the first 90% of the TT is the same until you see more guys if more than 4 riders remain, you do see a little bit of a change. But yeah, with, for example, how UAE did it, they just basically did a huge lead out for Pogačar, who then went. You did see some teams like Jayco do it quite differently, I believe, where they went to the line with, I think, like 4 people. And that was also a really strong performance. They held that very well. So there's still different tactics in play. But I think it's a good formula for interesting viewing for a TTT, which is always difficult.
Maybe one of the most difficult questions of this evening. What was the biggest moment of Paris-Nice, the most impressive moment of Paris-Nice for you guys?
I mean, I think it has to be the final stage, doesn't it? When Pogačar just went. He got like 50 seconds in 2.5 kilometers or something insane uphill. And that was that. Because for the rest of the week, it seemed like Gaudu was somewhere near his level. But none of the riders had anything close to him, close to his fitness today on that final stage. It was pretty impressive to watch. He just flew up the road.
I had another moment in mind, actually.
Me too.
The way Tadej ended the team time trial and flew up that hill. Yeah, that was impressive to me.
Very impressive, yeah.
But still not impressive enough for you, Yves?
I think the most impressive part of this year's Paris-Nice was Tadej Pogačar going for an outside ride when the stage was cancelled. I think that shows how motivated he is, and he's just having fun on a bike, isn't he?
Yeah, that's true. And literally when he says, like, we're going to ride today, we're going to have a fight, then he's always right. He's never bluffing or something like that. He's just doing what he says.
He says, like, he sees it, and he's a straight shooter that way. I like it. He's just going like, okay, we're going to go out, ride our bikes, have a little battle, we'll see who wins, and then we'll go home and have some fun. He's just in it to have fun, and it's what makes him such a interesting character, really great for the sport as well, because what's not to love? Him being too dominant, perhaps, but you can't blame the guy.
Well, I've got a question related to that. It's something I've been thinking about for a couple of days now, and some people on our Twitter feed, they say like, it's boring when Pogačar is there, but would the race be more exciting without Tadej Pogačar starting?
Yes, because David Gaudu would have won. That would have been so exciting for me. No, but I think he brings something to the race, doesn't he, Pogačar? Even though you know he's probably going to win, you don't know how he's going to do it. He doesn't always just take off with 50k to go. Sometimes he does a downhill attack or attacks on the flat, and I think that unpredictability is what makes his wins exciting rather than boring, because it's not the copy-paste every race. He's just got something about him.
I mean, there is that, but at the same time, he does have a little bit of a Sandro recipe where if you take him to the line of a mountain top finish, he's going to beat you in the sprint. It's very difficult to beat that way. Quite similar to Roglič at Tirreno, where if you take him to the line, he's going to beat you and probably put some extra seconds into you because he has that ability in his very strong sprint.
Does Vingegaard miss a bit of explosivity to really compete with a top-level Pogačar?
I think they're intrinsically very different riders, where Vingegaard is really a pure climber. He really needs those long climbs. We saw that in the Alps last year.
That's something you need to be careful with. The words pure climber, these days. That it's a
I
difficult
feel
thing.
like I can call Vingegaard a pure climber. We haven't seen him compete in, for example, Ronde van Vlaanderen. So I think that's a fair description of Vingegaard. Gaudu, on the other hand, is a pure sprinter.
In my opinion, they haven't been racing on the pure Vingegaard course, I think, where he performs best this week. Although I still thought before Paris started that he would have been better than what I've seen now. And I think they feel the same way at Jumbo too.
Yeah, but I think Vingegaard is still on a more than a decent level.
Yeah, of
And
course.
We're still March. I think Pogačar is trying to peak for the Ronde van Vlaanderen as well. Meanwhile, Vingegaard is just going to the France, if I recall correctly. So it's quite logical that there is a difference in fitness level as well, I think.
But the people from Jumbo did say that they did expect him to be at a higher level. So there was that little bit of disappointment. But I think it's, clearly Pogačar is having early season goals. And Vingegaard doesn't.
Yeah, the way Vingegaard performed wasn't horrible at all, to be clear. Is it fair to say after this week of racing that this was a race in which Pogačar didn't waste a lot of energy? Because a lot of people say that because of the race days and wasting energy, he might miss some energy towards the real goals, the Tour of Flanders, for example.
There is, I think, a week rest now till Milano Sanremo. A 1 week rest for a rider like Pogačar is enough to be good in Sanremo, and I think he's guided well within UAE to be in a good shape in the Ronde van Vlaanderen.
But there were experts saying that if Pogačar wants to keep his level at this point or even higher until Liège, that the number of race days could become a problem if he races for the win every single time.
The fact he added E3 Pace Harelbeke to his schedule.
Yeah, the guy doesn't care at all, I think.
Yeah, he's just... I think he sees E3 as a perfect preparation for the Ronde van Vlaanderen. All the big favorites are starting there. Alaphilippe, Van der Poel, Van Aert, Asgreen. So I just think he wants to have fun, and I don't think he cares about racing fatigue because he seems immune at it for the moment.
It's also a case, those experts probably have a lot of experience with regular type riders. I don't think we can call Pogačar a regular type rider. He does things all the time where we're like, how is he doing this? He's keeping his form for so long. Like even in a 3-week stage race, you don't really see peaks or weekdays. Like we saw 1 weekday from him last year's Tour de France, but that was after a very tough stage with good team play from Jumbo. So he's just like super consistent all the time at a very high level.
If you briefly mentioned E3 Harelbeke, Pogačar starting there. I remember last year that Pogačar started Dwars door Vlaanderen with the words, "I'm here to get to know the roads, to get to know the way of racing in Flanders." But I think we're pretty clear that E3 Harelbeke, you just want to win that race.
Yeah, I think it's his final rehearsal as well for the Ronde van Vlaanderen. So he will see how he fares on the Flemish cobbles. But he's going to be the main favorite, I think, for the win. I don't know how the bookies are reacting to his participation. But I'm sure he's in the top 3 of bookie favorites.
Adding that race might also be important for the team's tactics, I think. With Wellens in the team, they've never raced in Flanders before together, I think. Obviously they didn't. So, that might be a good thing.
Yeah, it might be smart to let them race together for once before Ronde van Vlaanderen. So if they screw the tactics, they can still work it out behind the scenes and be ready for Ronde van Vlaanderen. Don't forget Trentin as well. He's not in his best shape as possible, but as a road captain, he can be very important for UAE.
Next bullet point on my sheet. Arnaud Delis and the Lotto Destiny train. Any opinions on that?
Well, it's a bit shit, isn't it?
I think Bram summed it up perfectly.
To be honest, the transfer from Guarnieri has been not so good, to be very kind. But yeah, they seem to be really bad at positioning and in a very nervous bunch where there are a lot of good sprinters. Jacobsen was there, Gaviria. Yeah, they are just not mature enough yet, although Guarnieri is almost 40 years old. Yeah.
But of course, you need that thrust between the sprinter and the lead-out guy. And you also see that with someone like Jacobsen at Tirreno, which is going to follow later. Like, holding on to your lead-out guy seems to be a quite difficult task this early on in the season for new lead-outs.
From what I've heard of Arnaud Delis, I feel like he thinks he never really had a chance to sprint at this Paris-Nice. And at a certain point, he said in a newspaper that, if I'm sprinting for place 6 or 7 because I'm bad positioned, I don't care anymore. So that was kind of a bad look towards Guarnieri in my eyes. I don't think he was very happy with the way Guarnieri has been racing.
There's also a luck factor, like crashing, guys cutting into your train, which you can't always control. But yeah, I fully understand his words of not wanting to sprint for a 6th place. He's there to try and win those sprints and prove himself as a World Tour level sprinter. Yeah.
I think we can't expect Guarnieri to perform like last season because he was in a God team together with Demar and Gaudu. So I just think he's adding his career with Lotto on a
He's
lower
signed
level.
for another year, though. I'm riding with him till 2024, so he's got to get it sorted. Well, they've got to get it sorted as a team because they've got these riders under contract and they need some results from him, really, don't they?
But there's also the option that, for example, the train that's riding for Ewan, that they swap. Because Ewan's train is actually all right. They did win second place at Montserrat. And the train there was all right. They delivered him pretty good.
Is it the Beust, the lead-out man from Ewan?
Normally it is, yeah. I don't think it was there. But in general, it is the best.
Oh, okay.
We're here with 2 big Ineos fans. Josh, Yves. It has been quite a failure, I think, GC for Ineos at Paris-Nice. Sivakov ended up in 9th place. You guys as the experts, give us an explanation.
They are missing go ahead.
Oh, okay. I mean, Paris-Nice was a race they dominated, wasn't it, in the past? I mean, when they were Team Sky, they won 4 of the final 5 editions they did as Team Sky. And since then, they've had a COVID race, which won't count. They've come 13th, 3rd and 9th. As the drop-off's incredible. I mean, I've had some people say, it's because of the new generation coming through and whatnot. But if you're coming kind of 13th and 9th, that suggests that it's more than a couple of elite riders who just aren't on your team. There's something, I don't know if it's a shift of focus or if they just don't target it like they used to, but there's something going on with their GC squad because they're not on it, especially early in the season.
I think in the GC side of the team, they are missing a real leader, I think. Yes, they have a Martinez, a Sivakov, but those aren't on the level of a Pogačar, a Vingegaard, and an Evenepoel, and a Gaudu in Paris. But they are shifting their focus on youth and classics as well. If you look at their classic squad in comparison to 5 years ago, it was vice versa. They had a very strong GC team and they had an almost non-existing classic team.
I don't completely agree, actually, because I don't think 9th place is what they were coming for in France. You're right. There is a new generation, and it needs some time. They've had bad luck with Bernal, but still, a guy like Dani Martinez, we can expect a little more, I think. No.
So, I don't want to play down on Dani Martinez, but he hasn't had that many high-level GC performances to be expecting him to be able to fight for the win in Paris-Nice. He's had a couple of good days, but to start thinking that he's able to win Paris-Nice, I think is a bit too far. To say that they don't have GC guys, you also, in Tirreno again, they were there fighting for it with Tao Geoghegan Hart. So I think they do have some guys, but definitely not at Paris-Nice.
I really think actually that Dani Martinez is suited for 1 week stage races, and I think, Josh, you completely agree with me.
Yeah, I've got to disagree with Bram. I mean, the man's won Criterium de Dauphiné, Tour of the Basque Country, and Algarve this season. He's won a stage of the Tour de France. I think he will be disappointed with his performance in Paris-Nice. He just was nowhere near the level that he was at even a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know, maybe he was ill or something else was up, but he will be disappointed, I would think. And I think Ineos will be as well, because they were pretty much anonymous in Paris-Nice.
Is Dani Martinez their man for the Tour de France, or is he going to the Giro?
Geraint Thomas and Arensman are going to Giro.
And Geoghegan Hart as well.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I think Bernal is going to be their guy for the Tour, no?
Yeah, but those troubles with his knee are not that promising for the upcoming weeks. I think he was on the list for Paris-Nice, but they withdrew as well. I don't know what's made official right now for his next race, but it's not looking too good. I saw on Strava he's doing some big training rides again, so I think his knee is a bit less painful.
Is there anyone in this discussion who really believes that Bernal is able to compete against the best in Tour de France? That's not even possible.
I don't know. I don't know what Bernal level is right now compared to a strong Pogačar and a strong Vingegaard. The amount of times they've raced against each other in good health is nothing. So I can't say.
There is a reason Bernal was one of the most promising Grand Tour riders of the moment. He had his bad luck, his very bad crash, but I want to see him at his best level against Pogačar and the others.
Yeah, but my question is, are we able to see that in 3.5 months from now?
We don't know.
I think it's possible. I want to believe.
Yeah.
He just needs to go 3 months on the Tadej, and he will be very good.
Are there any other riders you want to talk about that started in Paris-Nice, or are you guys completely done with France by now?
Jonas Gregaard.
Gregaard, the breakaway man.
What he did was incredible. I think he went in the break 5 or 6 stages.
6 stages, yeah. No, wait, 5.
I think 5, yeah, because one stage was cancelled. Yep. But that was phenomenal to see. It was the first time Uno X was at the start of Paris-Nice. They got the invite because they are going to Tour de France as well. And they really showed they are a very attacking team and want to be in the breakaway every single day. And I think the personal ambition of Gregaard was the KOM jersey. And he just dominated that classification.
And in fact, we're very lucky because his biggest fan is among us this evening, isn't it, Bram?
Oh, I'm very much a fan of what he was doing. I don't know if I'm his number one fan, but the way that he was able to sort of entertain this Paris-Nice with the breakaways, even a solo breakaway one of the days, is just like, that's what cycling needs. And the fact that a team like Uno X, which is a wildcard team for this race, is able to come out of it with a leader jersey is pretty special. So if they can, I don't think they're going to win the KOM jersey at the Tour, but they're going to try. I don't know if it's going to be with Gregaard, but they're going to try and pull off some really nice days. So
I bet-
I'm really excited to see that.
I bet they will be in the breakaway for at least 17 stages of the 21. They will be very. They will
Even
be
in the
very.
time trial?
That's a
Yeah.
random number.
They will be very active. I'm sure.
All right, guys. Let's head to Italy for the Primož Adriatico. Roglič won 3 stages. And I don't know what about you, but at times I had the feeling that everyone was just looking at him and saying like, yeah, you can take the stage win. Come on.
To be honest, first of all, I think it's very funny to see people say Roglič isn't that good if he wins 3 stages. I want to be at a bad fitness level as well. If that's how my legs will feel. Yes, he was at the back at the time, but I think that mountaintop finish with the massive headwind,
That
think
was a smart piece of racing.
I think it was very smart. He stayed just at the back, almost chilling. I think he needs to push a lot less watts to be able to follow the group. And just, I think the last 50 meters he went
But
at front.
still, I'm convinced he didn't have the greatest of legs that day, because if he felt really good, then Kelderman was always going to work.
Why should Kelderman work if we saw how the race evolved? No one was really able to get away. Only Caruso
Was 30 seconds ahead at a certain point.
Yeah, but they didn't panic, and they caught him at the final kilometer, I think, because a mass attack, if I recall correctly. Yeah, I don't know. If I would be DS, I wouldn't spend Kelderman as well at that point.
Yeah, I just had the impression that Primož didn't want to be there. Like, he won his stages, but never celebrating is still so weird to me. Like, winning 3 stages, and then sure, on the podium he celebrates, but after the line, he's just like, yeah, I did my job. And of course, that's sort of Roglic's vibe that he always has, but in the past, he's always celebrated on the line. This is just like getting him added to the schedule for Tirreno Adriatico, sort of the last minute thing, and just a week before, kind of the week after Pogačar said that he would go to Paris. We get Primož at Tirreno, and actually it was said that he would not do any races before the Giro. So to see him there was kind of a big surprise, and I always got the impression like he didn't want to be there. But he's clearly in a good shape to be able to win this and also win 3 stages.
Roglič won 3 of them, Philipsen 2. But when we talk about Philipsen, we also need to talk about the excellent leadouts of Mathieu van der Poel. He had the space to be a good leadout. He didn't have to be in a hectic bench sprint. So when he has the freedom, I think, it was one of the best lead-out performances I've seen.
I think when you look at the sprinter side of the story, Van der Poel is more like a Danny van Poppel kind of guy. He likes to do the lead-out more than he does his own in a bunch sprint. And he just enjoys himself to go at 500 meters to go and just rip the full peloton apart. And just Philipsen only had to do 100 meters or 100 meters in that first stage he won.
I think the lead out that Van der Poel needs certain situations in a bunch sprint. He needs to have the peloton on one line. He doesn't like to be shoulder to shoulder, knocking to each other. He doesn't like that. He needs his space, and if he has that, then he's unstoppable.
Yeah, I think with like a twisty finish that isn't completely one straight line to a finish, like the one last kilometer being a straight line, I don't think that's going to be a great lead out for Van der Poel. But I think that the first lead out that he did this week, that was just exceptional. A lot of twists, and he just goes from 900 meters and drops Philipsen off at 100 meters from the line. That's exceptional. And I think yesterday he repeated it with 800 meters to go. So, yeah, just stellar.
Van der Poel, he was domestiquing for Philipsen, but Van Aert was helping the team as well. What do you guys think of the legs of Wout van Aert? There has been lots of talking once again here in Belgium, like every single day, but what's your opinion?
I think we can be sure that his legs will be perfect when it matters.
Yeah, like he didn't go to win any stages. I don't think he really tried to win any of the stages, except for maybe the one stage where he crashed. That was the plan beforehand. In the end, Roglič won, so no big deal for Jumbo. But yeah, he's going to be good for the classics. And actually, I think Tom Bonen said it in an interview that it's much better for his preparation, that he's just doing some work, putting a little bit of stress on the legs, but not trying to fight for those victories and really go too deep.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, because when he the stage to Osimo, the third of stage that Roglič won, when Julian Alaphilippe, I don't know if you've caught it, it was about 35k to go, pulled to the side and kind of gestured in a very Alaphilippe way, because Wout van Aert was setting such an infernal pace, and you think he's in good form. He was on the front for must have been about 20k, and then came 10th on the stage, which Roglič won. So yeah, I think he's going all right. I think he'll be okay.
Are the guys like Van der Poel, Alaphilippe, Pidcock learning from the methods Jumbo is using? Like Jumbo is playing it very careful with Van Aert towards the big goals in a couple of weeks. We saw Van der Poel being very quiet, except the lead-outs. We saw Alaphilippe being quiet. He never wanted to win a stage, he just domestiqued. They both did, Mathieu and Alaphilippe did.
I don't completely agree on that one, because I think Mathieu van der Poel has always been the guy who was excellent at peaking towards one race and kind of forgetting about the others. I think Wout van Aert has wasted too much energy in his preparation races the last couple of years, and I think he's the one who's adapting to the situation.
But when we compare Mathieu van der Poel in the Muro stage 2 years ago, where he just went very early in comparison to last week, it's positioned the same moment in the calendar, 2 weeks before the big classics. So why is he doing it back then and now he's taking it easy? Is it because his legs are worse?
I think they're maturing a bit. They're getting a bit further into their careers. I think they're about 28 now. I think they're starting to realize that the opportunity to win their monuments, their goals, they're not going to last forever, and that they really need to work towards those races. And winning another stage of Tirreno isn't going to make or break their careers. Winning Roubaix and winning Flanders is what matters, especially for Wout, who hasn't won one of those races yet. I think all the other races are completely not important to him at the moment, and he just wants one of those, because in the end, that's what some people are going to judge him by.
And also, there's a certain Slovenian coming to Flanders.
Yeah, he's doing the opposite and just spending all the energy he has.
Yeah, but I'm sure that's in the head of Van der Poel and Van Aert. It will be a different race, for sure. Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
both of them
sure
have
about
proven that they can beat Pogačar.
I think we can agree with Pogačar saying Wout and Mathieu aren't scared. I'm coming to the Ronde van Vlaanderen again.
I'm not saying they're scared. I'm saying they're prepared for it.
I don't think they're prepared for Pogačar. I think they're just prepared to win the race. Whoever's at the start line doesn't matter. They just want to win the race.
There's more than Van der Poel and Van Aert, of course. I think, Josh, besides David Gaudu, Pidcock is one of your other favorite riders. Is that right?
Yeah, I fall in and out of love with him on a weekly basis because one week he's absolutely flying and then the next he looks pretty rubbish. Well, not even week, day. I mean, before Wout van Aert took him out in that little incident, because my setup goes flying everywhere, he did look distinctly average, and you think it was, 3 kilometres at 7%? You think that'd be right up his street. And then, the next day you can just turn it on again. So you never know which version of Pidcock you're going to get, do you? But there's no doubt if he comes to Flanders or any of the big classics, I think, on good form, he's in with a chance of winning. But his lack of consistency worries me a bit.
And are you worried about him after crashing twice?
No, he looked okay, didn't he? And then there was that video of him going back on the bus, and he looked pretty fine. Looked a bit annoyed, but who wouldn't be crashing out? But I think he'll be okay.
Yeah,
right.
I think with Pidcock, we mentioned it as well last week. He's super inconsistent, and now there's also these talks about him being able to win a Grand Tour. If he ever wants to go for that, he's going to have to be consistent. And right now, like Josh said, you never know which version of Pidcock you're going to get. You see this even in cyclocross, where one race he's excellent, completely dominant, and then the other race he's just the day after or the week after, he's nowhere to be seen, like finishing 10th or whatever.
Isn't it a motivational thing?
It shouldn't be. He's a pro. He needs to get over it.
He's a pro, but it's well known not every rider can boost his morale for every single race day. When you have the ability of Pidcock, you could win a lot of races. So you could win 60 or 70% of the races you start, to exaggerate a little bit maybe. So isn't he just seeing Tirreno as, I don't want to be at home at training, I'm just going to a race, but I'm not seeing it as a race?
Yeah, I don't know. All things considered, Pidcock's only won 4 races. That's not a huge amount.
5. He won that Amstel, and I'm not going to be convinced otherwise. Even if the record books show otherwise, we know
Even if
photo
it's
finish cameras
5,
don't work.
For a rider of Pidcock's quality level, you'd be forgiven to say that is a bit low.
Yeah.
And I think a team like Ineos should have, if motivation is the problem, they should have mental coaches to help him get motivated for winning more races, because in the end, I think that's what he's getting paid for.
All right. Before we talk about the first monument of the season, we should end
Second.
the... Yeah,
Strategy,
all right.
monument.
There we go. We should talk about some smaller races in the Netherlands. Dorpen Omloop Rukven, for example, where Laurens Rex took the win. And some of you guys said that his power numbers were incredible.
Or data expert did it. Mentioned he pushed 1,900 watts. Pro Cycling Stats says he's around 82 kilos. So you can do the maths, and yeah, his watt per kilos in that sprint were insane. I think the weather conditions were really bad there as well when you looked at the finish phases. So to be able to do that sort of a sprint, I think shows he's in a very good shape and he's ready for the classics as well.
Half of the races in the Netherlands have been cancelled last week due to the snow. So I think it's fair to say it are hard days to race there. Besides Laurens Rex, I think that was also the race that Jules Hesters finished fourth.
Finished fourth
place.
He won the bunch sprint, 6 seconds behind the break of 3, and he was very disappointed.
saw that,
I
but
hope,
still, that's a strong performance for him, I think.
I hope he's able to win a smaller race this season, or he's taking a special title on the track is possible as well.
Sure. In the Ronde van Drenthe, it was once again a jumbo party where Per Strand Hagenes took the win. That's the world champion of the World Championships in Flanders 3 years ago, of 1.5 years ago. He's really a guy for the future.
Yeah, he's only 19 years old. I already knew that name from the youth categories, but I only really noticed him as a domestique in Kuurne, Brussel-Kuurne, I think, where he did very good work in the hilly section, where he actually
Where
did
the bunch was splitting, I think.
where he did a lead out for Benoot, etc. And now to win Profronde van Drenthe is nice to see, and it's another big talent in the Jumbo-Visma squad.
Yeah, there was the women's race as well. When we say that it ended in a sprint, I think we all know what happened.
Yeah, certainly because Charlotte Kool wasn't at the start.
Lorena Wiebes, once again.
Yeah, she's pretty unavoidable, especially in that race. I think this is the third year in a row where she wins it. So, yeah, dominant fashion from SD Works. Again, your prediction still stands, honest, although I wouldn't call this one a classic.
It's a good thing that you remember me about it, because I've been listening to you guys last week. I was in the car and someone said that, is Hannes' claim still standing about Lotto Kopecky winning multiple big races? And I think it was...
You said Lotto Kopecky would win them all.
I think we should listen back to it. I said
no.
She would win multiple big races.
I think at the end you did say that she could win them all.
And here we are.
And she lost Strade Bianchi to her own teammate.
Is that losing?
It's losing. She finished
It's coming in second place.
Yeah.
You lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't talk with you guys. All right. We're in the Netherlands, and we're flying back to Italy, to nicer weather, I think, for Milano Sanremo. Do you guys remember your pre-season prediction for Sanremo?
Yeah, it's not good.
Let's start with Yves' pick. Søren Kragh Andersen, I think it was.
He will be there.
Yeah, he's going to be there, that's right. He's starting. Do you really believe he has a chance?
Yes.
And based on
I
what
really do.
Are you saying that?
When you look back at the previous editions of Milan Sanremo, he's always performing very good there. For example, last year, after the hard pace from UAE on the Cipressa, I think, the peloton went on to Poggio, and Pogačar attacked right away. After that, Pogačar quitted his effort, and then Søren Kragh Andersen was still able to attempt to break away as well. He wasn't able to, but you saw on Pogačar's face it hurted him as well. Yeah, he can win it.
Maybe we should talk about the circumstances first. It was our preview writer, Apel, who mentioned that there's going to be a strong tailwind, which isn't in favor of sprinters, and of course that's in favor of attackers. So you say last year Kragh Andersen was able to follow the attack of Pogačar. Do you really think that when Pogačar is going all in on Poggio, he will still be there, Søren Kragh Andersen?
I think the Poggio isn't hard enough for Pogačar to create a big enough gap. The peloton at the foot of the climb is still quite big. So if there is an attack, there is mostly a couple of riders who try to bridge right away, and then you create a massive line in the peloton. And if you're just able to be at the right side of the split, you can always come back to the front when the pace drops.
As you say that Poggio isn't hard enough, it would only make sense to me that UAE team members is going to rip things apart once again on Cipressa and make sure that fast guys aren't there anymore. If you were DS at Team Emirates, what would be your plan?
The same as last year, but
better?
But better.
Harder, faster, stronger?
It's not that easy to say. Like, they tried really hard last year, I think, with Formolo. The pace on the Cipressa was incredibly hard. And to be honest, not a lot of riders got dropped there.
Bram, I have a question for you. Your preseason pick was Arnaud Delis, if I recall correctly. Do you think
correct.
This will be a Milano Sanremo for sprinters or one for attackers?
I think it's going to be a small sprint.
So Delis can win.
If he's in the group, he can win the sprint. And I think he can be in the group. I think he's shown the efforts that are needed to get over Poggio with a very strong group. So, yeah. The thing is going to be positioning. And what we've seen in the past week is that Lotte needs to work on that. That being said, we saw it in Nieuwsblad where when they went onto Molenbeek, Delis was able to position himself pretty well there. So, yeah, I think he can still win it. And I think the bookies have also changed that view where he's now seen as an actual viable favorite.
Imagine being Delis, he's able to survive the Poggio. Doesn't he need a teammate there as well to help control the bunch? Because after the Poggio, we see a lot of times an attack in the downhill like Mohoric did, or we saw a Stuyven attack right after the downhill. Doesn't Delis need help from a teammate? Yes, I know others will ride as well, but I don't think a lot of them will want to go to the finish with Delis.
Yeah, you're right on that one, I think. He won't have any teammates left. And in case that there's still a group of 10 or 15 riders, he will need to be lucky that another team has 2 riders willing to ride for each other.
I mean, yeah, you're going to have a jumbo there probably with who they're probably going to be more afraid of than Delis. Taking Wout or Mathieu to the line is also not great. But those riders are also going to turn themselves inside out to close any gaps. Winning Milan Sanremo is one of the hardest races to win because there's so much luck involved. And teammates in that final group are rare.
I think Arnaud Delis is hoping that Søren Kragh Andersen and Mathieu van der Poel will both still be there, with Søren Kragh Andersen sacrificing his chances for Mathieu. And there goes your pick, Yves.
If it's Mathieu who wins, I'm going to be a very happy person. And I think some others will not be that happy.
Let's move on. Josh, I need to be honest. I don't remember your pick.
Yeah, well, so everything Bram said, I have to pretend is a load of nonsense because my pick's Caleb Ewan. So...
yeah, he's not going to be there, is he?
No, that's the reason why I didn't remember.
List.
Yeah, but he's not going to be over the Poggio. Like, he hasn't shown the legs that he's going to be able to do that.
Look, when I made this pick, I had the image burnt in my head of burning my eyes of 2021 when he was second wheel going up the Poggio, then he came second, and he was very, very close to winning that race. I don't think that's going to be happening this season, but we live in hope. You know,
I think I found the
miracles can
reason
happen.
why Ewan is always coming second, because he's focusing on climbing.
Maybe, there you go. Although he'll lose in a photo finish anyway, so it won't matter.
Or maybe we found the solution to Delee's lead-out problem and have Ewan do a lead-out for Delee.
Nah, Delee's going to lead out Ewan, let's be real.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm not as confident in that pick as I was kind of 2 and a bit months ago, so...
What about your pick, Hannes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe at all in Binyam Girmay winning Milan Sanremo, to be honest.
Why not?
As I said, I think both UAE and Jumbo will, rip things apart on both climbs. And I think there might be a group left, but I don't think that Girmay will be in the first group. He might be in a second group, but yeah, if I'm honest, he's not going to win, I think. Right.
Huh? I agree.
That wasn't even a joke.
I don't think he's shown the legs to
No,
do it.
exactly.
No, or I didn't. But
But then that raises the question, who is going to win? If we don't really think any of our picks are going to win, someone's got to win.
Let's end
Pidcock-
today's episode.
Can
Yeah.
Pidcock do a Mohoric?
Well, actually, I've been thinking about that as well the past week, but the only reason I didn't say Pidcock in here right away is because of his crashes. I don't know what he's going to feel like after 300 kilometers of racing. But yeah, we've seen the videos of him in a downhill that's insane. And Mohoric is once again going to use his dropper post, I think.
Yeah. Can Mohoric do a Mohoric?
He's going to try, I think.
Will he be able to survive the Cipressa and Poggio once again this year?
When you mean survive, do you actually physically mean survive? Because I have my doubts. If he's going to race like last year.
I think he's even on a higher level than he was last year. So he will be up there, and he will certainly be at the front in the descent. But who will dare to follow Mohoric in the Poggio descent? I only think Pidcock.
Yeah, Pidcock has the balls to do it, that's for sure. Yeah.
All right, let's end this Milan Sanremo preview with a little round. I need one name of every single one of you.
Before you guys say a name, Michael Matthews tested positive for COVID. So
but he was going to be second.
I don't think he was gonna, or anyone was gonna say his name. But yeah, I'm gonna say Wout van Aert.
Mainstream once again.
Sorry, changing my pick from Delee to Van Aert is now mainstream. Okay.
Yeah, saying Van Aert is mainstream.
Well, it's
but
tailwind.
Racing these days is mainstream.
You can say Pogačar half the time. You're right.
Yeah, I don't dare it anymore to say his name.
Because apparently we're all mainstream now.
Yeah, Eve, we're waiting. Non-mainstream guy.
Oh, I'm waiting on you guys. I need
Don't say
a little
Caleb
bit
Ewan.
Fuck off. I'm never gonna say a lot of Destiny guy.
You can't say that on air.
I'm gonna have to
don't
bleep
care.
that.
Josh.
Let's throw one out there. Jonathan Milan.
Oof. That would be good for my Sporza wheeler manager.
No, it wouldn't.
He won a stage in the Saudi Tour. He's not terrible.
But he's not climbing at a decent enough level. But yeah, lovely pick. I like it. It's not mainstream.
Exactly. That's what I was going for.
I'm going to say something. Eve, prepare yourself. First, I need to know if he's starting there. Tim Wellens.
He's not on the start list yet.
No.
Then I say Tadej Pogačar.
Then Magnus Kort Nielsen.
Decent
That's
pick.
an interesting take. Yeah. All right.
And it's not mainstream. So
I mean,
Let's
he has
go.
won a couple of races this year
Gonna say,
already.
that's a pretty mainstream.
no, I want to see his bookie, his odds. What are the bookies saying?
Well, the bookies are still saying Caleb Ewan's got a chance, so, you know.
All right, guys. Anyone something to add?
No, I'm all done.
Then Bram, the
Caleb
floor
Ewan
is
has a... No. Caleb Ewan is the fourth in the bookies' favorite list with a 15 to 1. And Kort is 40 to 1. But I think Hannes isn't mainstream at all because Waddens is quite low on the list. He's a 125.
Yeah, but apparently he's not on the start list.
He's
a
They
major
haven't
problem.
fully been announced yet, but he's not.
But he's-
there's only 3 names for UAE for now.
All right.
He participated in
he should be there.
Paris. He went to Paris.
Yeah, he
And,
went to Strade, then to Paris. Maybe he needs to take a day of rest, but
Yeah,
if
we'll
his
see.
goals are coming in later as well.
All right, Bram, it's all yours.
All right. I think we've said everything we wanted to say. That just leaves me to thanking you, our audience. Thank you for tuning into the podcast again this week. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you like our content, please consider supporting us by buying us a coffee through our Ko-fi page, which you can find in the description. Your support helps us continue producing great content like this. For those of you watching on YouTube, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Domestique Cycling Podcast.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
I've got the spores, the sickness.